Hi, I'm Connor from Materia, and here's my gear. So today we're looking at my HX Effects, which is the brain of my entire pedal board. It has MIDI syncability, which was something I really needed for our live rig, which I'll show you here in a minute. I'm running in Iridium as my amp modeler, and it's passing a MIDI signal through to my Boss VE500 for vocal sync, delays, and harmonies. I also do have a Polytune on here and a TC Electronic Ditto Plus looper for another block in my signal. So what I really needed live was a multi-effects that could do everything I needed it to per song section, completely synced up to the backing tracks that we play with. And this was just the big brother to my M9, which had died recently, rest in peace. And it's great. I really like it. I already had an Iridium, so I didn't need an amp modeler, hence the HX Effects, because this has all of Line 6's effects, their distortions, modulations, reverbs, delays, compressors, without the amp modelers, like you would find in the HX Stomp or the Helix. So because I like to recreate the exact effects you find on our recordings, the Helix native software, in conjunction with this, is a really cool studio to live blend and feature. You have all of the Helix effects in here, none of the amp modelers, so if you don't need that, say you're switching multiple amps on stage, or you just like the sound of your amp already, you can just use the effects from Helix and get those really quality algorithms. What's also cool is it has MIDI in and out, 5-pin MIDI, so you can sync other pedals on your board like I'm doing with my vocal pedal here, and it's basically just a nice brain to control any outboard amps or gear, and also route everything nicely on your board. This thing has completely replaced my entire giant pedal board to make a nice, very efficient fly rig, so to speak. Not only that, not only did it replace my entire board, but it also elevated it to a new spot where I could use MIDI syncability and have all of my tempos synced up for both my vocals and my guitar. The always on effect that I have is the retro reel, which is basically replacing my Strymon Deco. I mean, I still like the Strymon Deco, by all means, it sounds great, but
what? I can't talk to people! I am out of here!
I use the retro reel as my front end sort of slight saturation, little bit of compression, and a very, very subtle modulation. It's basically a reel-to-reel tape machine, so that's how I get that very sort of 60s-esque dry sound. So the way I started implementing this HX Effects into my rig, it was all built around MIDI syncability. So what I have behind me here is our live rig computer. We have an XR18 in here, just kind of mixing everything for our in-ears. But then off of Ableton, we're running a bunch of different tracks. So there's MIDI harmonies, there's song changes, and what I can do is send MIDI information to my HX effects and get it to switch each of these effects per song and per section actually. So that's what I started implementing and building based on the HX effects itself, because it has that nice MIDI through, really easy to use, and just lots of flexibility for your signal path. Being stereo, you can run multiple paths or whatever you really want to do. So I'm able to pass a signal, MIDI signal through here and hit my vocal pedal for live harmonies and tempo signals. I can just focus on playing and singing instead of tap dancing over a giant pedal board and distracting myself from, you know, what's going on in the room and interacting. It's sort of a plug and play situation where I can just set up and not have to worry about missing a moment where I'm supposed to hit a certain effect or turning one off in time. Now I can just focus on playing guitar and singing and performing well. It's a pretty nice little unit, and let's hear it.